back on your life and wonder, how in the world did I get here? What did I do to get myself in this position? You know, it's easy to speculate, but would I really want to go back and change anything, even if I could? If I look at where I'm at today and just try and add up all the random events that had to happen for me to end up here, the only real question I have is, how in the world can one guy possibly be this lucky? Most people would say, I wish I could go back and change this or that, but that's not my story. Heck, if anything, I'd go back just to relive it all for fun. I've always felt if a guy worked hard enough, he'd eventually create a little of his own luck. But there's some things, luck just simply can't take all the credit. Now don't get me wrong, I've worked my ass off to get where I'm at, and luck has helped along the way. But the only way an undeserving someone can experience this much fortune is to truly be blessed. My name is Chris Robinson, and this is my story. It all started back in 1987 in a place at the time we called the Fellowship Hall. I'm not sure what they call it these days, but back then it was a place where fellow church members could spend time with one another after services for food and just good times. I can remember it like it was yesterday. There was lots and lots of hair. See, the church I was raised in was Pentecostal, and for those of you who've ever experienced a UPC church, fully understand what I mean when I say hair. I was only 7 years old, but I remember lots of good times in that old building, as they were just good people. Up to that point in my young life, I'd spent most of it hunting and fishing with my dad, growing a love for the outdoors. But it wasn't until one special night, something happened in that old building that changed my life. I could tell there was an important something happening inside the building with all the grown-ups, but really wasn't quite sure what. The door of the hall was cracked open just enough where from the outside, I could barely see the back half of the room focused intensely on every single word of the speaker that night. And even at my young age, I knew whatever was happening was important. So from only a few feet outside the door, not actually seeing the person who was talking, I got real quiet to try and listen to what was being said, and that's when it happened. For the first time in my life, I heard the piercing shrills of a predator call. You know, there's some sounds and smells that'll always stick with you. Well, when the silence broke and the sounds of a raspy dying rabbit echoed through that building, it imprinted on my mind, and I can still hear it to this day. You see, unbeknownst to me, our guest speaker that night was a man many consider to be a true legend and even a pioneer of the sport itself. It was Murray Burnham giving a calling seminar. I don't think Murray realized it at the time, but his experienced hand call skills had not only called up all the coyotes around the building, but also a little blonde-headed 7-year-old curious kid as well. Took root and set me on a path I never could have dreamed at the time. I've often wondered what my life would be like had I not been there. Would I still have this passion for the greatest sport on the planet? I guess I'll never know, but I'm extremely thankful I was at least close enough to hear his call. I'll always be convinced I was supposed to be there.
Ready? Get him.
Sometimes I have to pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming. The life I've somehow managed to live as a result of finding night hunting is something that anyone with a drive to hunt needs to experience at least once in their life. All I can say is you better have a good wife that understands all the late nights, as this time of year I pretty much become completely nocturnal. I truly believe mine actually loves me for it, because she knows it makes me happy.
Man, that right there is what I live for.
Oh yeah.
This time of year, man, that's what we do.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me 30 years ago, whenever that little seminar thing that kind of got me into predator hunting, if you would have told me back then that we would be doing this today, I don't know if I would have believed it.
Yeah. Seems like that lit a passion for you, you know?
Oh, for sure. What was cool about it took me probably at least 3 weeks of solid just tearing my house apart trying to find the video of that night, and I finally found it. I couldn't believe it.
I knew it was bothering you.
It was bugging the shit out of me. It was bugging the shit out of me that I couldn't find it, because I knew that was the first introduction that I ever had to this sport. It changed my life, dude. Any way you cut it, it put me on a path that led me to here.
Right.
You know?
It's pretty cool, man.
Believe it or not, when I was in my teens, night hunting and fishing kept me out of a lot of trouble. Instead of going to parties and getting mixed up with the wrong crowd, honestly, my passion for hunting and fishing completely dwarfed my desire to hang out at a stinking party. Heck, it wasn't even a close second.
That may not be very significant for some people, but I look at stuff like that, like what if I hadn't have been there? If I wouldn't have been there that night, would I still have the same drive for this game that I do? And hell, I think you're as much into it, if not more than I am.
Before you and I met, dude, like, I always tried to go out and shoot a coyote or call up a coyote, and I didn't know what I was doing, you know. And then whenever me and you met, started hunting together, I started learning more and more just from hunting with y'all, and the rest has been history.
Oh shit, there's two right there. Like, they don't act like they're too nervous, they're just kind of looking us over real good. Dude, all I can see is their head. I don't think there's no way that we're getting away with doing that from the ground back there.
Jump up in the rack.
Kind of in a crap spot, but
We keep going forward though, they're definitely gonna bust us.
hop up in the rack and just try some straight vocals.
Let's do it.
Hang on a minute, let them calm down for a second. Okay, there they go. They're kind of back over that hill. Just ease out.
Our original plan at this spot was to go all the way to the back pasture. Unfortunately, the further we went, the more we realized how tall the grass was back there. And after stopping the truck to check things out, I saw two little coyote heads pop up about 75 yards away. So at that point, we made the call to go old school and try them from the rig. We've been doing a lot of night hunting on foot the past few years, but there was no way we'd see him coming on foot as tall as it was back there. It was time to cut to the chase and get straight to business with some vocals.
Point your light, kind of point it over there a little to the right of that tree. I'm just gonna run straight. I'm gonna run straight vocals, see if we can get them. Yep.
And it didn't take long either.
Oh, there they are. They're coming, dude. Under the tree.
I think it might have took 5 seconds, and all I could see was 2 coyotes leaping and bounding over tall bushes. That shows you how tall it was back there. Pretty sure we made the right call on this one.
I'm on the right one.
When you get into a filming situation like this, with multiple coyotes, the shooter and the camera have to be in sync. And the cameraman has to pick which coyote to shoot, or it's a complete cluster.
Right one.
You're better off leaving the camera at home and just going hunting otherwise.
Left one.
Ronnie knows I'm usually on the lead coyote, but in this deal, they switched back and forth several times. I mean, it was making both of our heads spin.
Left one.
I bet Ronnie felt a bit like he was playing whack-a-mole as much as I was like, left one, right one, left, no, right, okay, no, wait, right one. They were doing circles around each other.
Right one.
And the second one hung around just a little too long also. Bad mistake. There's some nights our experience as a team filming together really shines. This was one of those nights. When you have 2 coyotes flip-flopping like that, you gotta communicate on the fly. And a big kudos goes to Ronnie on the gun on this one. I bet I switched coyotes on him at least 5 times in 20 seconds.
You freaking kidding me?
That's how you work together as a team.
We had 2 coyotes 30 yards from the truck in the same frame.
That was pretty good stuff.
I don't know that we've ever done that. 30 yards from the truck in the same frame. And those coyotes had us pegged when we stopped this truck.
Were they leaving at one time?
I think they were laid up right in there, and as soon as I stopped the truck, I saw 2 little heads, boop, like they had been laying down. They were still kind of laying down, but they popped up enough to where I could see the top of their head. There's no way we could have got away with that without being up in the rack.
Yeah.
No way. Talk about communication. Left one.
We've done this once or twice.
I know one thing. I'm glad that we've hunted long enough together, because that would have been a circus otherwise. Right one. Holy crap.
Right, left, right.
Right, left.
I was waiting to hear center.
Like, line them up both. Get both at the same time.
That was fun, man.
Now that's a pretty darn cool sight right there. It's not every day you get to see 2 coyotes this close to one another in the same frame.
I don't think that we could have started the truck back up and killed those coyotes, because they were already kind of on alert. Hell yeah, that was badass. I'm gonna tell you what, I can't think of maybe 2 or 3 times that we've ever had 2 coyotes in the frame, and I don't think that we've ever had 2 coyotes in the frame that close.
It just don't happen very often. These guys were standing still at one point, only 5 feet apart, less than 30 yards away. That's the stuff dreams are made of right there.
Holy crap.
Especially for a cameraman.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there, son. These aren't pups either. These are big ones. I'm gonna go grab this other one.
Should be right on that fence.
That one's not a bad one either. They bit off a little bit more than they could chew. Let's go put him with his buddy. These are big coyotes, man. Neither of these 2 are little pups. That's what drives us to do this, man. That's what keeps us going. I still can't believe that we got away with that. It goes to show we just kind of sat there and calmed down just a little bit, let everything settle down. They kind of moseyed over the hill and just started dilly-dallying around and doing their own thing. And God, man, as soon as we hit those vocals, here they come. That's awesome.
Getting to see these guys bouncing in is a sight I'll never forget. And I'm really glad we made the call to make this stand from the rack, because this would have looked and turned out a whole lot different.
You think we left a few?
Probably so.
Maybe we ought to hop back up in the truck and get them too.
I am opposed.
I wonder what the odds would be that we could hop right back up there and call them. Let's quit all this TV stuff.
I mentioned earlier how my dad played a key role in my life growing up. He was my best friend that did things for me that most dads just don't with their kids. If it wasn't for him, hunting and fishing would not be a part of my life, and for that, I'll never be able to repay him. He's gone now, and I would give everything I own just to spend one more day with him. He taught me how to be a good person and treat people the way you want to be treated. He would do just about anything to make me happy, but the one thing he gave me in this life I'm eternally grateful for is a love for the outdoors. I simply can't imagine my life without it. Earlier, you all may have misunderstood what I meant when I said I'm truly blessed. Some people think being blessed is about material things, like having a nice house or driving nice cars and things like that, but that's not it at all. I'm blessed because God gave me a dad who cared enough about his son to give him something he could never buy. He gave me his love. And that's something some kids never get. But there's more to this story. You see, back in 1980, the year I was born, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He promised God if he lived through it, he would raise his boys like no father ever did. The doctors told him he only had 3 months at best to live, but only by the grace of God, his cancer completely vanished overnight. Overnight. The healing power of Jesus Christ gave my dad a second chance, because he knew he'd make good on his promise to be the best father anyone could ever have. So if you really want to know how I'm blessed, he gave that second chance to me. As time went on and almost 40 years passed, all the treatments they put him through started to take a toll on his body, and our roles were reversed. I became the one that took him. His health just completely went away. It was my turn to try and repay all the things he did for me. I knew there was no way I possibly ever could, but that's what I owed. He kept his promise, and for 36 years gave me the best life I could ever have asked for. And when it was my turn, I took him as much as I could, but I still feel like I came up way short. If only I could have just one more day. But there's some things this life only gives you one chance.
Nice one. Nice cat. That's your third bobcat?
Something like that. Get one about every 20 years.
You see, he's the reason there even is a night crew. He's the one that told me if I'm gonna do a show, make the best damn night hunting show ever and give it all you got. Night crew may not be there just yet, but I'm giving it everything I have with hopes he's looking down on me with a smile. He never actually got to watch Night Crew, but I can hear him now telling me, "Good job, son." Even if he thought it sucked, he was always my #1 fan, and I could always count on him for his support. In the end, for me, Night Crew is the living manifestation of the love a father had for his son. A son who didn't deserve the life he was given.
I'd like to welcome everybody to Burnham Sportsman Seminar. Let everybody just make themselves at home. Glad to have Mary Burnham, his wife, here with us tonight. Also, we want to say to get in the car.
You see, my dad was the reason I was even there that night. He put the entire event together and made sure I was there, hoping he could pass something on to his son. You see, I think he knew even back then he was living on borrowed time and needed it to count. Dad, if you can hear me, in this life you'll always be missed, but I know I'll get to see you again someday.